The 6 to 7 Figure Show, episode 59. Let's hit it.
Broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun outside Phoenix, Arizona. This is the 6 to 7 Figure Show. Tired of working so hard and having no time? Take your six-figure practice and turn it to a thriving seven-figure enterprise. And now, your host, author, speaker, mentor, and strategist, Frank Bria.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 6 to 7 Figure Show. I'm your host, Frank Bria, and today we are going to have a special episode, a series of trainings that we are talking about, which are going to be the 12 critical projects that you need to execute in your business in order to hit 100K a month in your service business using a high-ticket program. There's a lot of focus that we spend on the design up front, but we are going to be focusing on one of those projects today. So we're going to cut over to training on one of those projects. And after the training's done, come back, hang with us, and I will give you a way for you to get a copy of some of this training for yourself. And we'll turn it over to there. Everyone, Frank Bria here. It is day 9, and I know it's late on a Friday evening, at least here in Arizona. For those of you who it's already Saturday if you've moved into the other side of the date line. But this is the 9th project. We're going to talk about operations and processes. And I know a lot of people think this is kind of boring and dull, and it's not as sexy as marketing and sales, but it's really important, especially as you drive to a 7-figure business. It's probably not the first thing you're going to tackle. It probably won't be your first project. But the goal here is to create a playbook of standard operating procedures that basically tells your team exactly how to do everything in your business that needs to get done. Okay. Now there's 4 major process areas in your business that need to get documented. We call these workflows. And each workflow is going to have a playbook, and they're going to be separate from all the others, mostly because the people involved in the processes in each of those workflows are going to be different. So the 4 major workflows are sales and marketing, product creation. So a lot of people in the service business don't think you've got product creation, but you do. It would be in almost any other business what we call manufacturing, but we'll talk about it. Service delivery and customer service, and 4th, finance, talent, and operations, okay? Now, creating a playbook isn't something that you're going to do overnight. This is definitely something that takes time. You're going to start with certain processes. You're going to refine them, and there's a few steps to do that. First, workflow documentation. That's step 1. Before you get to the actual processes, the specific steps, start with the workflow. This is best done in some kind of a diagram. That's why we use the term workflow. So just map it out on a piece of paper. Start at the beginning of the workflow and indicate all the major milestones that need to occur. Now, we're not worrying about documenting each step here. At this point, you just want the big stuff. So here are the typical starting and stopping points for each workflow. Sales and marketing. You're going to start with cold lead generation, and you're going to stop when the sale is closed. So just go through that process. What is the entire workflow for your sales and marketing? Keep in mind that you're also talking about the content generation that's created for that. So don't just think about the customer process. Think about what you have to do to make it work. Product creation. Start with idea generation and go to product release. So if you're going to create a product, create content for your service, add something, add a Slack channel, whatever. What are the processes that have to be, that you go through? What are the milestones that go through from idea generation to release? Service delivery and customer service. Now, the starting point here is a new customer being onboarded, and the stopping point is when you offboard that customer, either because they leave or they're done. Now, in this workflow, there are going to be several major milestones that should be considered, but might not apply to everybody. Those are going to include things like requesting information, registering a complaint, asking for a refund, upgrading, or contract termination. So make sure you think through the entire life cycle of your customer and include as many of those milestones as you think apply. You're going to miss some. That's okay. Just go back in, add them in later as you realize that they need to be there. Finance, talent, and operations. Now, this one's a little more complex, and it kind of makes sense to split things up here a little bit. So we covered talent management in another training, so make sure you include those 4 stages. Finance workflow basically repeats review cycles. So weekly spending tracking, monthly report review and budget adjustment, quarterly goal setting and cash flow planning, annual tax reporting and planning. So work with your accountant or your CFO to come up with good processes, and don't forget to include processes for making purchases or investments in the business. Your operations workflow includes all the systems that literally run the business. So consider all internal IT support, internal project management should be included, unless it's a customer-facing project, and then it fits into customer service and delivery. Any support processes that for you or your leadership team, so assistants those should be included as well. Now, this is going to be a little bit of your most random workflow. Just that's okay. Document what you can and add to it as things come up. All right. Once you've got your workflows drawn out, it's time to actually do process documentation. Each of the steps or each of those major milestones in the workflow should have a process associated with it. You probably have that process today, so document it. Start with a video of yourself doing the task if it's something that you do, or do have your team member do it if they do it. You'd be surprised how many steps you're going to forget if you just start to write them down. So document what you see, not what you remember. Your goal is to come up with a standard operating procedure document, and that should have the following. 1, the purpose of the task. 2, the context of the task. In other words, when does it happen? How often? What starts it off? 3, the title or description of the person who executes the task. This might be multiple people, so you might have to include multiple people if there are handoffs. 4, any inputs into the task. In other words, what tasks have to precede it? Is there information, data, or other work product that needs to be done first before this process starts? 5, the steps of the task. And this is the thing that everyone realizes has to be here, but there's a lot more to it than just that. But here's where you literally want to outline as if you were going to be following a set of instructions. 6, the output of the task. When you're done, what do you have? And 7, if applicable, quality measurements to make sure the task was done right. So sometimes this applies, sometimes it doesn't. Take a few weeks and be diligent about documenting the processes in your workflow. Don't worry about creating the SOP while you're doing the task. Just record it and document it later, or have your team do that. Make sure that your staff is in on this process as well. All right, step 3. Once you've got that documented, you might want to select some of these for process re-engineering. Now, that means what you're going to do is actually redesign the process to be more efficient. Obviously, simple processes will not need this. So you're only going to choose processes that are complicated, take a long time, or are often done wrong. Those are all signs that the process you have today probably isn't working for you and you need to do something else. So here are the things to consider when you're re-engineering processes. 1, try to figure out how to reduce the number of steps. 2, try to reduce the number of handoffs that happen during that process. And 3, try to reduce the time required to do the process. Now, if you can reduce the number of steps and the number of people involved, generally speaking, you end up with a more efficient process. So even just those 2 things in and of themselves should do the job. Get creative. If you're at a loss, get your team involved and brainstorm. But don't get penned in by how it's always done. Allow yourself to get really creative about this, especially when you have a process that takes too long or is screwed up a lot. All right, once you've re-engineered the process, don't just put that immediately back into your playbook, into your SOPs. Test the process out to make sure it performs the way you think it will. Once you've run it through like a 2-week test, then you can change your SOP to match the process that you just created. All right, everyone, that is it. There's a lot of work that gets done when you put a playbook together, but that gives you some of the ideas of how to do it. It's just a lot of documentation. It's a lot of write-up. And so this project does take time, but it's really important. And if you're looking to build a business asset, this is what you're going to have to do. Because if you ever sold the company or handed it off to another manager or wanted to bring in professional management, they would be using this playbook as a guide for everything that needs to happen. All right. Thanks, everyone, for being with us on this Friday afternoon. Taking a break over the weekend, you do the same, and we'll be back for day 10 of the training on Monday. Talk to you all then. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, everyone, that's it for today. And two things that you want to do. Number one, if you have not had a chance to join our Facebook group, you need to be able to do that. This is really where we're going to be discussing a lot of this stuff in detail. You can actually, in the Facebook group, get written documentation of the project that we just discussed. So where you want to go to is facebook.com/groups/high ticket program. All together in one word, no breaks, no dashes, high ticket program. So facebook.com/groups/high ticket program. That link is below the video or in the show notes page. If you're out and about listening audio, come on back to click on through and join. Absolutely free. Other thing that we want to offer you is called our 12-week high ticket program Black Book. This is over 60 pages of standard operating procedures for designing, launching, executing your high ticket program. The way you get that is you go to frankbria.com/blackbook. Again, the link is below here for you to grab that. High ticket program is our Facebook group. The Black Book is our free 60-page standard operating manual for how to run a group program. Go get that at frankbria.com/blackbook, and we will see you there. Thanks again so much for being with us today. We're going to have great content again coming up soon, so stick with us for our next episode, and we'll see you soon. All right, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.